We got a guy on the tower. He's sniping from the ledge.
Stopping my
right.
hammer.
Up at A. Up at A flag.
He's on heavy.
All right, front door of the church. Front door of the church. He's coming out.
Yeah, I got another one on church on the side.
Get him.
Watch
him.
Okay, got him.
watch the flank.
Got him. Got him.
Beep, beep.
All right, I keep
coming
getting
up.
smoked. What?
That's me. Respawn.
Oh! Just headshot again.
This hunter is driving me crazy.
Oh, now they're teabagging me.
Oh, not.
Oh, I'm so...
Who is this? I'm inspecting this person. I'm like ready to send hate mail for the. Oh, it's Miss 5,000 watts.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. All right.
Beep, boop.
Doesn't feel so bad now.
I'm done dying. Let's get her on the show right now. I need to figure out how this works.
Yeah, if you can't beat them, have them join you on the show, right?
And tell them their secrets.
Beep.
Thanks for helping, Swainbot.
Run miles and miles to meet you. Flooded walls and bit my tongue. And I took carry all the love I haven't wasted. The stuff through bloody hands and I'm still holding on. And I still love you like the day we didn't meet. Through every detour, soul collision, clawing to get free. So up all my emotions up, and I won't let nobody see. I know it hurt you as much, if not more than me. And I won't miss again.
Hey, birds. How are you?
Good, I'm back. Birds
Birds in the
back.
building.
Bones, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Swain?
Can't complain. It's been a great week. Let's kick off this podcast.
Yeah.
This podcast called Crucible Radio, a podcast for all things Destiny, PvP.
PvP.
One day we'll say that so perfectly in sync, and it'll be incredible.
But until then, what do we got, guys? We had some trials. We got Iron Banner going on this week. We just got a big old Bungie
Juicy.
update. Juicy Bungie update. What have you guys been up to? Whoa, all this stuff going on.
Well, I dropped my cat off at my mom's for Thanksgiving week.
Next.
Oh, in Destiny. Iron Banner Clash has been awesome. I love it. Swain, what about you?
Mostly just Iron Banner Clash, doing some trials, keeping it real chill,
Keeping it real?
keeping it real.
Birds?
Birds, I know you've been up to something.
Well, I've been traveling for work these past couple of days, so I've actually not played any Iron Banner Clash yet, but I did play some trials this weekend with our resident Bones and our friend DT Huna. And I got to admit, I cannot believe Firebase Delphi actually works out
So good.
as a trials map. I mean, it's like the fundamental unbalanced map, but I was digging it. Like, it's tough. There's some tricky angles to get sniped from that you wouldn't think from. But it worked. I wouldn't have mind seeing it year one. Fun one to play.
There is a clip that we must upload and combine, but I was playing my Night Stalker. I rush on heavy right up the middle. I stand up on the floating crate. The door opens, and I throw smoke on all three of them standing on heavy. And there's Swain from the left of them. Pops a hammer, throws one over there, and triple kill. It's just like the most satisfying thing. And I was like, I smoked a... Oh, you got it. We're good. Fastest round I've ever seen. I actually really enjoyed Delphi.
I have to admit, out of all the maps, this one probably has the most hilarious heavy rounds.
There's so many doors and jump routes and different ways like approaching.
And they're so close together. Like, even if nobody pushes and you both get heavy, it's like, all right, well, no one's going to horseshoe with your rocket launcher. Like, this is about to happen, guys. So pick your spot.
Yeah, I had a great time on this map. I felt like it was probably the first time I've gotten in such a good flow that, like, it just felt so right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hitting snipes I probably never would have hit before, and just pushing and finishing off rounds, and it just felt so good.
Well, we will talk more about Iron Banner Clash, about trials with our special guest this week, Miss 5,000 Watts. We also have a new segment coming up with sports psychologist Steve. But we've got one thing that we want to talk about this episode, and that is our favorite thing, patch
Cheez-Its.
notes.
Oh, patch notes.
White cheddar Cheez-Its.
Classic.
Well, these aren't technically
Hot
patch
and
notes.
spicy.
All right, Swain, keep it on your
Sound
stream.
off on Twitter.
I feel like when John Wisniewski, sandbox designer and friend of the show, writes these, he's really addressing them to us in particular, and everyone else
Best
just gets to
friend
read
of
them.
the show.
Hey, buddy, because I know you're listening. I know you want to know what we think. What What do we think?
Well, first of all, these are our notes and sort of philosophies for what is going to happen in the December update. You don't have a patch yet. We still got to wait a few weeks. But this is what we have to look forward to, and it's kind of what they're aiming for with all of the weapons and a few exotics specifically. But they did list some percentages and some very specific changes that we'll see. So obviously there's plenty of things to react to and discuss here.
Well, let me just say overall, my impression is like, if we think about like the first big balance when auto rifles just fell apart, in hearing John talk about that, go back and listen to the end of his episode. They didn't really have the capability of doing fine-grained changes, so it was this huge change, and now we're living in a hand cannon world. And then when 2.0 came around, hand cannons got hit pretty hard, but you could still use them if you wanted to pull out that Hawk Moon or you wanted to pair up that last word with a sniper. You still had a chance. Still a very deadly gun. And it seems like with this one, they're taking a lot of little things and kind of pushing them in there. There's a couple big changes in here, but this one feels more just sort of like a tuning than a rebalance as a whole.
One of the things I noticed is a lot of people are arguing over what's going to be good. And I think that's a really good sign of how this patch is going to probably turn out. Mm-hmm. So many people are arguing like, oh, I can't wait to use this gun, or this gun's going to be the best. When in reality, it's like, it just seems like it's the perfect amount of tweaks that it makes it seem like everything's going to be in line and you can have even a broader choice than you already have right now.
Well, starting with auto rifles, this is a cool one for me because I was a huge user of auto rifles way back in the day. I miss my Vanquisher so much. But the issue initially was a combination of range and damage and strength. And you could be strong at such a far range that it made them overpowered. So then when that first nerf happened, it was sort of taking both of those down. Now I really feel like auto rifles have their range and the range makes sense. But still I felt like I wasn't going to use them because if someone did want to just power through my clip, they were going to get close enough to shotgun me, and I couldn't just keep them at bay long enough. So now we've got a slight increase to base damage, differently for each archetype of rate of fire, but that's what I wanted to see. That was the issue, is if you are close to me, it's not going to work out for you. I can no longer fight with your scout rifle like I used to be able to back in the day, but don't get close to me. And that's exactly what I think auto rifles should do.
Yeah, I think a lot of the whole update revolves around their change to shotguns. And I think the auto rifles will benefit pretty well from it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's the other thing to remember here. Any change that is made or any change that is not made specifically to a thing is okay because there's something else that will directly apply to it. So if there is not a direct change to the last word, there is an indirect change based on how everything else will work around it. So we're going to have to play with a lot more than just like, well, is this auto rifle better now? Well, we have to see what else has changed and how that impacts the whole thing.
One thing I kind of liked was seeing the difference in the changes to the different archetypes in auto rifles. To see a base damage boost across the board is nice because I felt like the auto rifles, the time to kill was always just like a split second too long. Like I almost had them, but then they got the last shot off on me. What is interesting to see is that medium rate of fire is what got the biggest boost, which kind of makes sense because the low rate of fires, they do hit hard. And surprisingly, the high rate of fires, I know, Bones, you've talked about your Arminius D. They shoot so fast and they're such flinch machines that they're surprisingly deadly. And to sort of see that middle ground where you still have to shoot like an auto rifle, but it's not the endless stream of bullets, the bullet hoses. To see that one really get the biggest boost of all is interesting, and I might have to sort of reevaluate some of my auto rifle choices when I do decide that's the play style I wanna roll with.
Yeah, I mean, Back in the day, it was just the high impact. Everyone tossed out their Atheon's Epilogue when it came to the Crucible, but now I think all three of those I'm going to have to try out and use. So I'm looking forward to bringing those back.
All right, next up, this is the one people are paying attention to right now because we've all just been rolling with our Hawksaws, our Nerwins, our Red Deaths, and our Jujus.
Good thing we just did the pulse rifle thing on the last episode.
I'm going to say that pulse rifle guide still applies, but it's not the be-all, end-all, because pulse rifles are the only one that seem like they really had a huge edge over the other gun types in the current meta. So what are we seeing with pulse rifles?
Well, we're seeing a overall reduced base damage for all the archetypes: low, medium, high, and highest. The highest one is probably the easiest on the eyes. It's 2%. The rest got between 8 and 9% damage reduction.
So we see the damage reduction. We also see that the range stat is coming into play in a big way. And so it says the damage fall off to start between auto rifle and hand cannon ranges. So a low range pulse rifle will have shorter damage fall off than your average hand cannon. A high range pulse rifle will have farther damage fall off than your average hand cannon. And this actually, I don't think this changes the thing about that pulse rifle guide, because even before we knew this change was coming, we said, look, you got to have the stability. You want those tight groupings. But we know range is so important. And that's why a perk like hand-laid stock, which is going to give you more stability at the cost of range, some people swore by it, but I would give me braced frame any day, because not only with that range do you have to worry about your accuracy, your aim assist, and your damage drop-off, but we know that that damage drop-off is going to be more important than ever now. So make sure you keep that range stat intact, and if you've got something that's sacrificing range on your gun, maybe that's not the perk you want to be using.
I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit on saying pulse rifles are dead, just going off of the initial Twitter reaction. It's a little intense. Yeah. We don't know really what's going to happen. We have a bit until this gets applied. But, I mean, to be honest, I could play with Nerwins and I could harass a sniper and get a kill at that scout rifle range, and knowing full well that I'm causing a ton of flinch. So I feel okay that I can't do that anymore.
Even if pulse rifles are reduced till they're nerfed out of mass usability, who cares? Use a different gun. There's plenty of stuff rising to the occasion in this update. If you feel like pulse rifles aren't the thing to use anymore, find another one you really like.
That being said, and look, I agree with you. You know, I was not a pulse rifle user until year 2. I just didn't like the way they feel. And having really fallen in love with my Nerwins, I've developed a taste for them. I get it now. I mean, they gave us this awesome chart to actually show us, you know, we get these 3-round bursts. We can see how many bullets it's going to take to change a kill from before and after. But I kind of suspect that the era of a gun just being nerfed out of existence, I don't think that's the case here. That was something that might have happened in year 1. I don't suspect that's happening here. What I kind of think is that the people who are going to be using pulse rifles are going to be using them because they like pulse rifles. They work for their playstyle. They work for their loadout and the secondary they want to pair with it. And they're not just using them because it's the meta gun. And, you know, we kind of have seen that all along with scout rifles. You know, with the exception of Mida, there's never been a scout rifle that's just the scout rifle that everyone uses. But people use them because some people like scout rifles. And to have pulse rifles kind of fall into that place, that makes sense to me. I get that.
Speaking of guns being not really used, we have our sad little friends, the hand cannons.
Miss them dearly.
That everyone doesn't seem to like right now, but they're going to be okay because we've got some improvements to hand cannons, which I think we saw coming. I'm excited for that because I still use the last word. I kind of like do it begrudgingly, but I'm like, you know what, this gun, you can't put it down. And I'm excited for hand cannons to be a little more optimal. They said they're going to be optimal at that close to medium range. They're not going to be, you know, super short. And it rewards agility under fire, which is cool because, you know, a good player knows how to flank and move about and reposition and stuff like that. So we might see some real gunslingers out there, you know, being able to pick people off and moving left and right all over the place and really causing havoc. So excited for those to come back.
I love this little FYI thrown in here. It is the best, and it really has John shining through. Golden Gun is not and never will be affected by hand cannon weapon changes.
Yep.
You can stop with that.
Yep. So stop spreading the rumor that the super is nerfed when hand cannons are nerfed. It just doesn't happen.
You know, when we actually look, we see there's really only one change, and it's just identifying the number one thing people complained about, which is I put the reticle right on him, I took my shot, and I have no idea where that bullet went because it didn't hit him. That's the only thing they're changing. And I think that's kind of cool. I mean, what that tells me is that hand cannons are very, very close right now to the way they kind of envision hand cannons playing. But there's this one thing that's off with them. And if you're a player, and for a lot of players, it means, oh, they're garbage. They destroyed hand cannons. No legendary hand cannons in year 2. And really, you get a sense of just how complex the balance. If even one thing is slightly out of whack, that can color your entire perception of it. I'm just going to say I'm excited to start making use of this Iron Banner hand cannon we've got this time around. With just a little bit of boost for the hand cannon as a weapon class. I think it might be a new favorite for me coming.
You're gonna have to grind some Iron Banner with us then.
Oh, you have to actually play all those banner matches.
You know that there's more than 6 people in those matches, right?
Yeah, and they're not all trying to kill me. I don't get it, guys.
Okay, moving on. So we got no changes to shotguns, fusion rifle. Oh, did I miss something? Was there?
Well, turns out people were still pretty upset about shotguns in year 2. And as he points out, that our last few attempts at curbing the lethal range of shotguns have made some dents in the legacy of the Fellwinter times, but currently there are still weapon builds that can kill at surprisingly long range, albeit less reliably. I mean, I know as soon as Shot Package disappeared that I just started saying, hey, just get Rangefinder now. I mean, it's not Shot Package, but still Rangefinder. You know, we still want to get that max range. And it looks like they've really made some comprehensive changes to prevent those super long range builds, but also really affect how you use a shotgun. You know, if you're going to run around the map jumping and sprinting with a shotgun, you're probably going to have to re-examine your playstyle with some of these changes.
Yeah, it looks like they just going back to contracts and the way they think they define a weapon, they really redefine shotguns.
Well, this is something that I feel like we just haven't even hit on in our show, and I never see it come up online, but there's a very big difference from playing on the ground and playing in the air in this game. And Destiny is all about mobility. You know, you've got Blink, you've got Titan skating. People are in the air constantly. Everyone's throwing grenades, jumping around. Every super is performed up in the sky. But if you think about it, there's no gun that just automatically works in the air except for shotguns. Which, I guess it's a video game and we're out in space and everything like that, but I feel like these changes make it feel like a shotgun that you hold at your hip, you walk into a room, you're clearing trenches out. I mean, that's what they do. They're big, strong weapons. They're not these paperweight space lasers that do insta-kill when you're flipping through the sky, and it just kind of makes sense because the reasons shotguns were so challenging to fight is because it's actually harder to look up in this game. Your reticle moves slower when you're looking into the air. So the key to shotgunning was always be above someone, and then you're just this angel of death that cannot be stopped. So I think it makes sense. Like you said with the contracts, this is how you should move with a shotgun. This is not this crazy fast gun. I mean, you know, it shouldn't work like the last word does. That's what the last word is for. And it just makes sense now. I'm excited for this change. I think shotguns will still be used. I think they will still feel good in your hands, but they are going to make sense a little bit more.
What did they do, guys? What did they do to shotguns? Tell me. I want to listen.
Well, about all this movement stuff that I've been saying, we have damage fall off at certain ranges. You know, it's more for close quarter combats. You know, your melee range is going to play a factor. It's going to reward those fast melees after a first shot, which people do already. The interesting thing is that there's actually a slower ready and stow time for all shotguns, and you actually move slower. So when you have your shotgun equipped, your base movement speed is reduced. You can still sprint, and that's unaffected, but walk, run, and aim down sight speed are slower, which encourages that you got to be confident with this gun now. You cannot just, take little shots from far away and slide and zip around and stuff like that. You got to know what you're doing. So it's a cool change. It's not just a purely, 5% here and 3% there. That's an actual feel thing, which, as we know, goes into how a gun is actually perceived.
So you mentioned that sprint is unaffected as far as your base movement speed, but they are adding just 2 frames of delay when you're firing out of sprint. And 2 frames doesn't seem like much, but when you think about the kind of reaction time that's required for when you run around that corner with the shotgun, that can really make a huge difference. You know, considering that, you know, this is a heavier gun, you're going to move slower when you're holding it. It kind of, you know, I think back to our very first interview with Texas Prod. He was talking about shotguns. He said, well, if you want to get good at shotgunning, you just play that game where you go into Rumble, grab that first special ammo crate, and then say shotgun is my primary and play for the rest of the match like that. And I think that playstyle is kind of going away. You can't rely on having this gun out all the time. You're going to be using your primary, and it's only when you say, all right, the scenario's right, we're in close quarters, I know where the enemy is, I don't have a ton of distance to cover, and I can maybe play a little more static, a little more solid, a little more strong, steady push, and make the shotgun side. But aside from that, keep it on your back. Keep that primary out. So we've got some changes to fusion rifles, but who cares about fusion rifles?
I care.
Oh, yeah, all right, Mr. Sniper.
Hey, I played with fusions a lot back in year 1, really before I picked up a sniper and before I knew what I was doing with them. I liked them a lot, and they did get changed, and I kind of felt like they had disappeared, and then Fell Winters comes along, but I really want to use them again, and I'm excited for the changes. They've changed stability and range, and now we see a clear identification of what a fast-charging fusion rifle does and what a slow-charging fusion rifle does. You know, there's ones for reaction where you turn around and blast them because they caught you off guard, but then there's also ones for deliberate predictions of when they're coming around the corner, and you can time it up, and you know, map placement, and you can get into your enemies' heads, and those are cool. I think they might come into play as a good skill weapon.
I agree. I like the varied uses. It kind of defines the archetypes, defines, you know, your playstyle a little bit more.
Yeah, I felt with fusions in year 1, a lot of it was just like, all right, well, whatever archetype just gives me the most stability, okay, that's the one I want. That's the one for me. And to see that they've really sort of carved out specific roles where that stability is just part of a bigger picture for the archetype as a whole, for the role the gun works in, and the way to see the way that stability and range and charge time all kind of interact with each other. I've been unfair. I secretly love fusion rifles, and I'm definitely going to be trying them back out once this change comes around.
You know, Baby Bones a year ago only thought charge rate mattered, and, you know, the fastest one means it's the fastest to kill, but I actually really, really want to play with the slow charge ones. I think those are actually what appeal to me now. It's going to be fun.
Well, I know grown-up Bonesy is a big fan of sniper rifles, and we got some changes here. 2 big ones.
Uh-huh.
As always, sniper rifles are optimal at long range, and range for the first time, at least in terms of damage drop-off, actually became a thing in year 2. You know, if you're playing some of those big maps, you got your First Light or your Sky Shock. You might have had the experience of taking an across the map snipe and not doing enough damage with a headshot to accomplish what you might have set out to do.
Or hitting them at all.
Or hitting them, period.
Now you can.
Yeah, it looks like they're extending the sniper rifle damage fall off, so damage only reduces for very long shots.
I'm interested to see how this works out on Crossroads with people standing up on the heavy over on the island and trying to pick people off. Because those are fun.
Shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, killing someone when they're flying over the man cannon's easily most satisfying snipe in Destiny.
Pull!
You practice your prediction shots.
Exactly.
Well, there's this one big change to sniper rifles that everyone will be excited about. Makes your arms day purchase 2 weeks ago useless, unless you like the weapon in general. Luck in the chamber on sniper rifles now only buffs precision damage. So no longer will you get those cheap one-shot body shots.
Makes sense.
If it was really truly just 1 in 4 shots and maybe there wasn't the sound to give the cue away, even if that weren't the case and it were just 1 bullet in there, then I might have not been looking forward to this one so much. But let me tell you, I've played some matches with some weird stuff happening on those Irenes. So to just see it gone and have snipers go back without exception to being hit that body shot and do some more work, or hit the headshot and get the one shot kill, and that's it, I think is taking us back to a world that makes sense.
Come on, Irene. Oh, I swear what she means at this moment. You mean nothing to me.
Body shot. Shot you in the foot.
What about sidearms, guys? We, like you said.
What's a sidearm?
It's the Iron Wreath. That one sidearm that everyone got and
it's the
loved so much.
Havoc Pigeon. Pew, pew, pew.
So pew. Sidearms are still sidearms, but they are faster than ever. We're all gunslingers with the quick draw, pulling out our and the quick switch. I mean, this one makes a lot of sense. I figure that, for me, sometimes I'm going to push with the sidearm, but a lot of times it's, all right, well, I didn't equip the sniper, and that primary clip just ran dry, so let's clean them up. And to have that sort of built-in quick draw switch into the sidearm, this makes sense. I dig it.
Oh, yeah. Gonna feel like an 80s action movie. The last guy is charging at you from the right after you've cleaned the room out. You gotta just go pew.
Well, we saw some changes to the exotics, too, including not just some buffs, but also an explanation for the first curse, which I think for a lot of us was an exotic that it just didn't really make a lot of sense. You finally finish that question and you go, oh, this is it? And now we kind of see, to kind of balance out the last word, the first curse is the spiritual opposite. A heavy-hitting, slow-firing pistol that asks you to stay calm, take aim, and drop each shot like a megaton payload.
Guys, I actually just turned on my PS4 and I've been doing the imprecation quest line. Sorry, I know I should be paying attention, but I'm getting the first curse as soon as I can. This is now the longest range hand cannon. Just straight up.
We know range is very important. It's going to be even more important on hand cannons.
Yeah, and as a careful player and as someone who wants to take his time and still needs to remember to do so, having the first curse in my hand might really encourage that and encourage a safe play style, so I'm not just out there running around dying and giving points to the enemy team. So I want to get my hands on this gun. I have no opinion on it right now because I have not played it, but obviously it needed some improvements. That much is clear, so I'm really excited to get it.
One change here that off the bat seems kind of cool, but when you really think about the gun as a whole makes sense, is they've made the first curse perk now refill the magazine when activated.
Ooh.
And Swain, that was one of the things you complained about, that it's like, all right, well, I've got this perk for the rest of the magazine and I've got three
shots
rounds left, so I better make it count. But now we see that we've got 8 full rounds with this perk active to take advantage of. And with triple tap, if you really land those headshots, if you land them right, you might even get more rounds than that. Now I'm starting to get it. Now this is coming together, and maybe I will commit myself to this crazy grind.
Yeah, it'll make sense. You can just go on endless streaks if you get it good.
Well, with the rise of the first curse, we also see the fall of the only hand cannon people have been using so far in year 2. And I have to admit, I feel like I spent the right amount of time with Hawkmoon. I didn't get Hawkmoon till year 2, and it took me a while to really fall in love with it and go like, okay, this is a hand cannon. And to say, look, if we're going to give hand cannons a boost overall, something's got to come down to level the field. We see Hawkmoon gets that range reduced a little bit, and it's dealing less bonus damage on that on those lucky bullets. So those 2-shot kills are be a little bit harder to get a hold of.
I got Hawkmoon on my first Vault of Glass, so I'll just shut up.
Yeah. I love how many times you've told me that you've gotten 5 Hawkmoons.
More than that, easily.
Yeah. Your timing was impeccable, because I would have just gotten my 4th Suros regime, and you go, oh, that reminds me of the time I got all those Hawkmoons over and over. And I go,
just dismantled this Galahorn again.
Thanks, buddy.
But a gun that you did get early on that you can't whine about, El Chaperone.
I worked for it, man. I knew I would love that gun, and it turns out I did love that gun.
But now you can't anymore because it's broken and probably dead, right? R.I.P.
They totally ruined it.
No, there's actually a nice little change. We've got a reduced base damage, but increased precision damage scalar from 1.75. It was 1.1. And
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, that thing's going to pack a little punch if you get that headshot. I really saw it as kind of like the No Land Beyond of shotguns, which it often was described as even before we got it in our hands, where it was just like, okay, it's a skill weapon, it's kind of novelty, you really got to hit those headshots. Now that that's even more true, it's like you got to have aim, and the people who will have good aim with this gun are going to drive people insane. And maybe I'll be one of those people, who knows, but I'm cool with this. It sounds fun. Chaperone is still awesome. You've still got that boost to speed, so now we know that shotguns, you walk a little slower, but the Chaperone will keep you going and stuff like that. So it's still a gun you've got to have, and it's worth it for that quest.
One thing I got to wonder about this, I mean, that precision damage boost is huge, and you figure you get that going, you get the Roadborne going as well. I wonder if that's enough to say the Chaperone is like the ultimate reliable sort of revive sniping shotgun in a way. I'd be curious to see how those numbers actually work out if I get that precision damage and I've got the Roadborne active, exactly how much damage we're talking about. I know they didn't pick that 1.75 out of the air. I mean, is this a Sunbreaker killer? What exactly are we going to be seeing in terms of numbers?
Sure, get close enough.
Yeah, you got to sneak up on them.
Just hold still. Let me shoot you in the head.
You know the drill.
Well, I want to talk about this next one. Been kind of quiet.
I am so sick about talking about this gun. I'm happy to let you go for it.
Oh, yes. I am sick as well, defending it. But it's the Fabian strategy. As a Titan, this means a lot to me because I want to love this gun so bad. And like I said earlier, it plays a lot into the other changes. So it's a little subtle. Shotguns were probably its biggest, enemy. Obviously, in order to get the perk to proc, you had to be pretty much in shotgun range. So I'm going to read it here. Currently, the effect of front lines is subtle and requires close attention to notice. The new approach to front lines focuses on a more tangible experience. We increase the base rate of fire stat and push the weapon up to the fastest firing auto rifle archetype, enabling the weapon to do more damage in less time. The visceral reply of the weapon as it cranks through the magazine feels much more appropriate for a Titan on the front lines. That's going back to defining the Titan a little bit more. And the already ample stability boosts help keep the rounds tight and focused. So they also had to change a little bit of the perks around to get this to feel a little bit balanced and get the stats in line without bugs. But Frontline's perk on Fabian strategy no longer buffs rate of fire. So they bring it up. You get lots of damage per bullet, but just goes a little bit faster as you get closer.
This is interesting. I mean, Noosh talked about it in a little bit in the episode where we went to Bungie and got a chance to hear it. And I think it was a thing, how many times did people need to hear, look, there's no bug. It is working. It's just hard to track. And this weird idea of having extra bullets kind of come between frames without the rate of fire actually changing. Here, they're saying they're going full-on Slalog with it. It's just going to change archetype. Now, what I wonder is they say they're going to increase that rate of fire and they're going to decrease the damage per bullet to offset that. But it does say you can do more damage in the same amount of time. So my guess is that damage per bullet, it's not going to drop all the way to the level of that new archetype that it's moving to. You're still going to see it someplace in between. Still going to have a little bit of a boost that causes this to make sense.
Hey guys, I'm taking a break from the first curse quest. What's the best place to level up gunsmith weapons? I'm trying to get Fabian.
You got to headshot those captains. You want to do it in Forgotten Shores, or I found another good one the other day on the moon.
The Moth Yards has a good one too. You could just go up to that one captain up on the top, kill him, drop down to the cave, kill the one in the cave, go back to the top. The other one spawned.
Cool. Anyways, keep doing the podcast. I'm gonna grind this out.
Good. good. I was getting a little sick of you talking anyways.
I overall love this, and I've used it a few times since we got back from Bungie, and I've gotten the talking to. I've had some pretty successful games with it. It depended on what the enemies were using. It's fun to use, and I can't wait for this buff to come, and I'll be able to charge in there and not have someone shotgun me as soon as I'm halfway through my clip or something.
I mean, Bones, that just goes to what you were saying about having these things all kind of work as a whole. We're seeing a boost to auto rifles. We're seeing a specific boost to Fabian, but it's because shotguns are changing and the whole landscape is shifting a little bit that there's a little bit more room for this to really make sense as a good choice.
Stupid captains. Oh, what was that? Was that to me? Am I my turn?
Whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
Do the last two. What do we got?
Black Spindle, LOL.
It is Crucible Radio.
You could just say that Black Spindle always had one scope.
Yeah.
And now it's just been replaced with barrel upgrades.
Which is cool.
Still just one scope.
That's a pretty gun. I think it looks prettier than Black Hammer. The Sleeper, you can't abuse the heavy ammo anymore, and it's now affected by heavy ammo perks. I actually got 2 ricochet kills for the first time. I think it was a week or two ago now. Yep. And they were like in the same magazine of Sleeper on Sector 618, which is kind of the perfect map for it. And I was just like so excited when it happened. And then I got the second one. Definitely saved those clips. I love the Sleeper.
One change worth pointing out is that the ammo inventory on it doesn't benefit from fusion rifle armor perks, but it does from heavy ammo. So if you like to pair up Sleeper with a sniper rifle or a shotgun, and we're really relying on having those extra rounds from your chest armor, you don't have to make that tough call anymore for when the heavy round comes around.
And that's it.
That's it, guys.
All right. We're going to be talking more about this and in greater detail with some people who can shed some more light on it as we approach the actual balance patch coming out itself. But stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
You'll hear more about these changes.
Cool things coming.
Yeah, let us know how you feel about the changes too.
Yeah, what gun are you looking forward to making use of in year 2 that might not have been on the table before?
And what guns have you saved, just waiting for them to come back? I know I have my vault. I've got some saved up where I'm just like, not your time, but soon.
Well, Vanquisher will vanquish again.
The Trials auto rifle.
Shush! Don't tell him.
Okay, never mind. Don't save that.
Dismantle it. Legendary marks, really need them. All right, y'all. We've got a new segment. Guess who's back? Sports psychologist Steve is here. And
Steve!
Every once in a while, we are going to bring Steve back in to spend a few minutes with us and talk about the psychology of the Crucible. And he's going to bring us new tips, new advice, and new strategies for improving our mental game. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Glad to have you. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, I really appreciated the podcast that you guys put out this past week, really discussing what it was like to be last Guardian standing and also getting to know the maps and how important that is. So I thought maybe I could bring in a little bit of sports psychology into that conversation. I appreciate the nickname that you guys gave me. My friends are giving me a hard time about that right now.
It is accurate, if nothing else.
No, it's good stuff. So what I wanted to bring in was talk about imagery, or also known as visualization or mental rehearsal, and how you can use that mental skill to improve your Crucible game.
Yeah, that's cool. This is something that I've used from time to time. We haven't really talked about it on the show. Just sort of in like the simplest sense. What is this? What are you talking about?
Imagery is a skill that you can use where you're being deliberate and you're creating an image that's in your mind. So as opposed to just daydreaming and thinking about things, you're actually being deliberate with the image that you're putting in your mind, and you can use it for a variety of purposes. It's a very versatile skill in the same sense where self-talk is a versatile skill, relaxation strategies, imagery is another one of those skills that you can use to improve performance.
I actually had a conversation in my stream today. Someone was asking me to describe how I go about my Crucible games, and I realized that I begin even before I load into the map. as you're loading in, I see the name of the map, and I'm like, all right, well, I start thinking about where exactly on the map I could possibly go depending on my spawns.
Yeah, and that's a great start. I mean, a simple imagery practice exercise would be to just think about wherever you are right now, or maybe think about your job and think about how it is that you get there, your ride in your car, your commute every day. And if you can explain that with a lot of vivid detail to another person, that would be an exercise that you can use to see how well your imagery ability is. So in your mind, just thinking about, okay, I'm getting in my car, I'm taking a right out of the parking lot, I'm getting onto the highway, I'm getting off at exit 4, then I'm making a left onto, and et cetera, et cetera. You continue on with that process. That in its simplest form is using imagery in the same way that you were talking about potentially before a match started, using that to come up with a strategy for your first engagement.
Okay, let me give it a shot. So I wake up in the morning and I pull the covers back and I stand up and I put on a pair of pants and then I walk out my bedroom door and then I walk 4 feet and I go into my office door and then I sit down. How's that?
You probably could use a little bit more detail in that. And what makes your imagery as strong as it can possibly be is including a lot of the different senses. So what I want you to do, just get in a comfortable, relaxed position. And for this exercise, I'd like you to close your eyes just to eliminate some of the distractions. And I want you to picture yourself in your kitchen, wherever that is. And I want you to reach over to the refrigerator and open the refrigerator door. And inside the refrigerator door, I want you to grab, there's a bright yellow lemon that's in your refrigerator. I want you to reach out with your hand. I want you to grab the lemon. And as you hold on to the lemon in your hand and you close the refrigerator door, what I want you to notice is how bright and yellow the outer rind is. And also start to notice the texture of the lemon itself in your hand. So notice the bumps and the ridges that are on it, and notice the weight in your hand too as you're holding it. And what I'd like you to do is take that lemon, put it down on the counter for just a moment, and reach over into your drawer and grab a knife. And I want you to take that knife and I want you to cut the lemon in half. And as you cut the lemon in half, notice the sound that it makes and notice the smell, the aroma that's starting to fill the room. So you really notice that citrus smell in your nose and you hear the cutting and the juice as you cut that lemon in half. And then what I'd like you to do is take one of those halves and cut a nice big slice out of the lemon, a good chunk out of that lemon, and pick up that slice with your index finger and your thumb. And I want you to bring it up to your mouth. And then what I want you to do with that lemon is I want you to take a big bite out of that chunk and savor the sour citrus flavor on your taste buds. And now I'd like you to open your eyes.
My mouth is watering right now.
So what's really cool about that exercise is it gives an idea of how vivid you can create an image in your mind and the connection that your mind has with your body. So what's really cool is when I'm working with soldiers or athletes and I do this exercise and I'm in the room with them, what I can see is I can see physiologically some changes that are going on. And you can see oftentimes their mouths actually pucker. And then I ask them the question, I say, no, what's so cool about that is just thinking about the lemon cause changes in your body. And that's how imagery works. Imagery is creating a vivid and controlled image in your mind and creating the connection between your mind and body and getting the benefits out of that. Now, there's no benefit of you creating a lemon image in your mind.
We weren't actually supposed to eat the lemon.
Whoops. I've got lemon juice all over my desk.
That was a terrible idea.
Yeah, I hope everyone listening did that along with us. Unless you're driving to work and you're listening to this in the car, don't do that. But I was definitely like resistant to putting it in my mouth. Like I know that there's nothing in my hand, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take a bite of lemon. And I was like, honestly resistant to that. But yeah, I can just sort of picture like in trials, you know the map, you've been there before, you've maybe played some rounds, and I can just think like, all I gotta take is 3 jumps to get over to this silo on Firebase. They're gonna jump through the window on the other side, and I'll get that first snipe before any other bullets are fired. And I can feel that and how satisfying that is, and how it gets me in the zone, and I know exactly where to move. I can immediately start doing that with Destiny. So that's really cool. That's a cool exercise.
Yeah, and the benefits of imagery are so varied. You can use it to reduce anxiety. So think about it again in that last Guardian standing, or heighten anticipation, improved coordination, concentration, precision, enhancing confidence, accelerating learning. Like, there are so many applications of this skill when done properly.
Absolutely.
I guess one thing I think of, Bones, you talked about last week when you were talking about Last Guardian Standing, was how well you have to know the maps. So, for example, if you start backing up, you're not going to run into a box, or you're not going to clip a corner and bounce off of a wall. And I guess, sort of thinking about it, that's something that, as I get to know maps better, it's not just, all right, well, there's a box here and a corner here. They really start to become real. I start to think of these places, and they have different sounds, and there's different light levels, and there's, I start to get a sense of really what I ought to be able to see. And is there grass under my feet, or is there sand under my feet, or is there metal under my feet? And just being able to kind of run through any map in my head and really, treat it as if it was real. I feel like I could start to get to that point. You've heard it said, like, I could run backwards through this map and not run into anything.
And what's amazing about that, Burrs, is when you create that vivid image, you can do that without having the controller in your hand,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of times where you just don't have the opportunity to practice playing Destiny or in the Crucible, right? Whether you're at work, whether it's before you're going to go to sleep. So you can use imagery to continue to improve your skill. The research has shown that imagery and mental rehearsal is more beneficial than no practice at all. It doesn't replace physical practice, but when you complement mental practice with physical practice, you're more likely to achieve higher levels of performance.
I like that. I mean, so much of getting good on a map is learning angles. And if, I think of a map like Pantheon, it's like I could draw a map of Pantheon from memory. And if I could do that, then I guess I could say, all right, well, if I peek here and then I execute a slide, then my head's going to be covered by this. And when I come out, I'll be looking at this, and I'll just be able to see over this, and sort of see myself doing that in my head. So when I'm in that in-game situation, I can sort of do that as something that, even though I may not have actually executed in the game before, it's something, at least strategically, I can kind of do automatically.
Yeah, and when you become more automatic with it, it takes that little less time to think about it, make the decision, and make it happen. And that could be the difference between, again, in trials, you surviving or, you failing.
So to wrap up, what are some of the real practical applications someone could take away from this and use to improve their Crucible game tomorrow?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I would start with is just start to develop a map blueprint. So in your mind, just focus on one particular map and create a blueprint in your mind of all the places that exist within that map. And then when you feel confident with that, layer on developing a strategy for the map. So it's an open skill. There's going to be a lot of different things that are happening. There's going to be 6 other players against you or 3 other players. So you can't plan for everything. But you can still come up with a strategy, at least for the beginning of the game, and some particular spots that you want to go towards. After that, layer on some emotional control. So just think about, what does it feel like to be in the zone, and bring that into your image as well. And if you can get those 3 components down pat, you're going to be in good shape for those anxiety-ridden conditions like Bones was talking about last week.
I mean, anyone who's listened to us doing a trials ticket, recently has heard, after those really tough rounds, hear the deep breathing, hear the moments of quiet and the reset.
Yeah, me and Birds definitely get on that.
Yep.
I had to do it the other night when I was tilting really hard in Iron Banner. I was like, all right, stream, I'm walking out of the room for a second, I'll be back. I definitely came back and almost went unbroken. So it works.
So maybe you'll hear us doing guided visualizations next time we're flying into a trials match.
The last couple of episodes, man, have been great listening to you guys just sharing the applications that you had of the things that we talked about, and just really emphasizing that it's a skill. It takes practice, right? So just like, bone sniping and any other skill within Destiny, it takes practice. It's not going to happen overnight. And the same thing with imagery. I mean, you need to practice that to get the benefits that the pro athletes and the top military officials are able to do with that.
Absolutely. Definitely something you need to start adding to your game no matter what you're doing, be it sniping or using any weapon. You gotta have these mental drills going on constantly to stay sharp, because trials tickets are long. It gets exhausting. So having this kind of extra emphasis on seeing what you're about to do will just help you stay in the moment for an entire ticket. So awesome tip.
Thanks, Gus.
Yeah, we'll have you back soon.
Can't wait. I think it would be really cool to hear some of the viewers, if they've got questions. I'd love to, explore some of those as well.
Absolutely. Hit us up on Twitter at Crucible Radio. Hit Steve up. What's your Twitter handle again?
SportPsych NYLI.
There it is.
Thanks, guys.
An extraordinary song for my
Hey, Birds here. Just wanted to give a big shout out to my new favorite band, Fishermen. They're Destiny players and fans of the show, and we've been playing their music, including this fine track, for the past couple weeks. Just can't get enough of them. Great stuff. If you are a musician and would like to have your music featured on the show, please send us an email, crucibleradio@gmail.com, and check out Fishermen at fisherman.bandcamp.com. You can get their albums there for free or give them a donation. I think they deserve it, don't you? Back to the show. Joining us on the show tonight, she's been streaming Destiny since day one. We're so happy to have her join us. Miss 5,000 Watts, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited
Welcome.
to be on here. I've been on the PlanetDestiny one, and Crucible Radio is definitely more up my alley, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm just excited when we have a guest who's heard the show before. Knows what it is. It's always big plus. Great way to start.
That is a good plus.
So yeah, just starting off, tell us a little bit sort of what your history in gaming has been, and how you got into Destiny, and how that turned into life as a streamer.
Well, gaming's kind of been in my family forever. Like, my mom plays games, my dad plays games, my brother plays games. So it was kind of a natural progression for me to be into video games, because that's kind of all that was around me. In terms of Destiny, I started playing in the alpha, like when it was just close friends and family that were playing, which was really cool because I got to play against Halo pros and like Bungie employees. So that was really cool. And it wasn't on my radar too much before then. And then I got offered the alpha code and I was like, sure, I'll go buy a PS4 so I can play the alpha. And I ended up just falling in love with it. And since then, I've just been making videos on it, and then I started streaming it. And it's kind of just become the main thing on my channel just because it fits me so well. It's kind of every game that I like put into one.
I feel like a lot of people who play Destiny used to be gamers, and now we're kind of gamers, but we pretty much only play Destiny at this point. Like,
Yeah.
what is it about this game that clicked for you?
I think it just kind of encompasses everything that I've enjoyed. I kind of grew up playing RPGs like Final Fantasy, and then I got into FPS games with Call of Duty, and there comes Destiny, and it's like, hey, do you want to do MMOs? And do you want to shoot people? Here you go, have both of those things, and you get addicted to just like the grind. And I know a lot of people don't like the grind, but it's kind of, it always gives you something to work towards. So I kind of like doing that. So yeah, it just kind of puts everything together that I like from games and that keeps me going. Like shaders, they're so hard to get and they're all I want. I just keep playing for shaders. That's why I play
Someday.
Destiny, because they don't give me shaders and I want them.
Pretty simple.
So as soon as you have all the shaders, you're just out of here.
I'm gone. Just gonna go somewhere.
It's been cool.
Well, that or they come out with 30 more shaders.
They
Yeah,
do.
that always
All
happens.
starts over again.
Yep, by then another DLC will be out. I mean, where are those Crucible shaders? They don't even exist. They don't even drop in the Crucible.
Just for Swain.
Just for me.
He's the
Yeah,
only
I saw
person.
that one. But like the regular shaders that are supposed to drop that are in the kiosk that say drop from the Crucible playlist.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found.
I got enough Beowulf in my time where anything associated with the Crucible and shader, I'm just like, you know what? I'm probably okay with
Yeah,
that.
that's what we were saying. We're like, we complained so much about our Gilgameshes that now we don't get anything.
Yeah.
I always thought blue and orange was a good look for me. That's why all the clothes I wear in real life are blue and orange. Yeah.
Blue and orange.
Whatever, that's fine.
Best combination.
Do you dress in real life based on shaders every day?
I do. I am now permanently Gilgamesh.
That's a commitment.
So what's your favorite class to put those shaders on?
See, that's hard because I have my favorite class, but then I think shaders, they all look so different on the different classes. Like,
That's true.
you put it on a Titan and you're like, where the hell is the yellow in the shader? It's just gone. Doesn't exist. I think maybe Warlocks just because they have the gown, so it's a big space that's taken up by the shader. And with Hunters, I used to love shadering the cape, but now in Taken King, all of the shaders don't go on capes. That makes me
Yeah,
sad.
but you get like the Tanax cape. Tanax cape is amazing.
It is amazing.
It looks very warm.
It does. It looks very fluffy.
It's because he has no home.
His cape is his home.
All right. Well, so shaders aside, you know, if you're going to pick one class to take into a competitive environment that's really sort of you at your best in Destiny, what class, what subclass are you going to rock?
It's definitely Hunter, and I think now it's Night Stalker. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Night Stalker's so trash, blah, blah. But I'm like, smoke grenades, I absolutely love them because they just completely mess somebody up. Like, you throw it at somebody they can't really see, they're slowed, they can't jump or anything like that. So I really, really love smoke grenades, and I like the Night Stalker super. I know that a lot of people don't like it because when you actually hit someone directly when they're in their super, it doesn't stop them. But you just gotta learn how to use the super. You gotta hit the walls or the floor, and then it actually stops super. So I think that with Trials, people kind of started to appreciate Night Stalkers more, just because you could kind of see them come into their own with stopping the big bad Hammer Titans.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I would say Night Stalker at this point. Shade Step and Smoke Bombs kind of make that really good for me.
It's like that bug that just won't leave you alone. You're like, it drives you to insanity. That's how I feel about Night Stalkers and all their tricks.
They're tricky, exactly.
You mentioned the smoke bombs or the stink bombs or the fart clouds. What perk are you going to run on those?
I use Envenomed. I know some people like to throw on the invisibility and like run up to you with a shotgun, but Envenomed, I just think Envenomed is just great because I started doing this thing, which I'm sure people hate me for in Trials, where I throw a smoke bomb at them and then I just body shot them with 1,000-yard stare. Smoke and body shot. You don't even need to get headshots. You just smoke and body shot.
Oof.
It's pretty great.
I was playing through all my characters in Trials, you know, after I go Lighthouse Summon Warlock. I'm like, time to drag my Hunter through it. And I hadn't really touched Night Stalker that much, but I started playing Trials with Night Stalker and kind of went, uh-oh, I think I'm in love with this class. I think this might be better than anything else. Just got so into
I
it.
definitely agree because one thing, and it's Keen Scout for sniping.
Keen Scout is amazing.
It's like having someone who's already dead feeding you information to where they are.
Free callouts.
Yeah, free calls.
It's true. You're just waiting there and they don't know when you're gonna peek out and you know exactly what they're doing. You can pre-fire. You don't even have to have the reaction speed of seeing them. Like you can just fire when you know they're coming around the corner.
I definitely have like when I play, I'm just like, oh, I completely ignore the fact that I'm being hunted most of the time, and don't realize like, oh, now I know that I'm being like that guy knows if I peek out, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of hard for people to notice it, especially in high pressure situations. They're not really paying attention to their bottom left corner of their screen. So I think a lot of people don't really notice it.
Oh, see, I started off year 2 playing Night Stalker exclusively. And when I finally switched it up and finally started getting hunted by people, every time I see it, it's like, oh no, they're watching me.
Yeah,
I don't know where they are, but they know where I am.
Big brother.
I'm about to pop around the corner. I gotta run.
Just run in the opposite direction. He'll never know.
Yeah.
So, it's been kind of a popular topic in the world of Destiny lately is that we don't have a lot of news going on right now. We did get some great patch notes, which we will certainly get your thoughts on later. But I was sort of wondering, what is it about PvP and, a little bit we talked about Destiny in general, but what makes the Crucible kind of stick with you and something you want to do for long periods of time besides the awesome shaders? Like, what is it about the actual game and the competition itself that sort of, draws you in and wants, makes you want to play it every single weekend?
Well, I think just speaking about regular Crucible, I kind of split it up between Trials and regular Crucible. In terms of just it comparing to other FPS games, I really like the time to kill. I think it's in a real sweet spot. Like, it's not too fast and it's not too slow. I have time to actually outplay people and shade step around and jump around and kind of get out of situations. So I really like that. And I really like the supers. I like that you can have different situations where you want to use your super. You actually do have to use your brain when you use your super, although some people, supers ruin the game, easy kills. You have to use your brain when you use your super. But when it comes to Trials, that's really the thing that just makes me love the Crucible so much, because we don't have that much of a competitive scene in Destiny, if anything at all. But with Trials, it's a competitive team against another competitive team. They've put their team together going head to head, and it really just emphasizes everything that is so great about Destiny, the super use and the callouts of map rotations and using the radar, because obviously the radar is always on. It really kind of brings all of that to the forefront. So to me, it's just the perfect time to kill. I absolutely love the time to kill in Destiny, and just all the things that are with it, the supers especially, and just working as your team when it comes to that weekend when you're going against other teams. It's kind of a competitive feeling I can't really get anywhere else when it comes to FPS games.
Absolutely.
So far in year 2, we've had 3 Trials maps. We had Bannerfall, and then we were all getting ready for Drifter, but instead we got Exodus Blue and Firebase Delphi.
Exodus Blue, I thought I was going to hate it. Like, I was expecting to just hate it. Because I kind of like that map. Like, it's okay in 6v6, but I was just expecting it to just be just a complete mess. And when I first went in there, I felt really uncomfortable. And I think it's just because I played this map so much in 6v6 and skirmish or whatever, that taking it into Trials, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Where do I go? Where do I look? I don't know. But I ended up actually kind of liking it, because especially compared to Bannerfall was literally the other team's going to spawn and they're going to hard scope down the middle and they're going to not move. They're going to stay there forever. Whereas with Exodus Blue, if a team wanted to do that, like, you had a lot of areas to kind of flank them and go in there. I know my team at some point, they started running invis and just flanking people at sea and just like jumping on them. It was pretty hilarious. So Exodus Blue, I ended up kind of liking, just because it opened itself up for, if you wanted to use a shotgun, you can. If you want to use a sniper, you can also do that. And similar thing with Firebase Delphi. I found that if you wanted to use a shotgun, you could, and you could do perfectly fine. And if you wanted to use a sniper, you could also do perfectly fine. And every team that I came into contact with kind of did something different. So that I think those maps are pretty good, actually. I really, really wasn't expecting to like them, but I ended up thinking they were pretty okay.
And I love Exodus Blue, and I really liked it on Trials. But now that I've played it on Clash Iron Banner, I shudder every single time that comes up in Clash Iron Banner. Just like, oh god.
It's a 100% different tone and energy.
Huge flip in the way it feels.
I was kind of on the same page as you. I was kind of surprised at how much I liked the Trials map so far. And like you said on Exodus Blue, I loved that there were so many routes to take. I was actually writing my map guide on PlanetDestiny on Friday once I found out that it was Exodus Blue. And I'm starting typing, and I'm like, okay, so there's 3 routes. Well, actually, there's kind of 4 if you think of... Actually, there's 5 routes across... There's so many paths in this map for such a tiny map. There are 6 different lanes. And I realized how much movement it allows for, and so many different routes. So I had a lot of fun so far.
The thing that surprised me about Firebase Delphi is that when you're playing it in elimination, you have this very short amount of time to get into position, because all things being said, it's not a very big map, and really the playable area of it's pretty small. As you sort of worked your way through different tickets and got more and more familiar and played both of the spawns, what were some of the approaches that you kind of started to predict other teams making, and what were your favorite team plays to make right off the bat when you spawn in on either side on Firebase Delphi?
I think a lot of people, the average team, would probably go to the horseshoe area. And I'm okay with going in there. But as soon as we saw that it was a heavy shotgun team, I was like, just avoid the horseshoe. Don't go there. Never go there ever again. It's the terrible idea. Just avoid at all costs. Because it's so easy for them to just get on top of you and just make your day not very nice. So we always would avoid the horseshoe if we came into contact with shotgunners. And at that point, we'd kind of just hold down where the capture point is, which is outside B in the little hangar area. We kind of just, we're like, okay, we'll just wait for them to come to us and we'll like pick them off if they try and come to us. So that's kind of what we did. Sometimes we'd go outside. I saw a lot of what I would say better teams tend to go outside. And I think it's because they were trying to get like sneaky snipes on people going into horseshoe. Because I know I would do that a few times. I'd stand right outside the window and just kind of try and pick somebody off. So I think my favorite thing to do was to either go outside, try and get a sneaky snipe, or go into horseshoe for a little bit and try and just pick somebody off and then push that. But in general, I'd just avoid horseshoe if we found that we were having trouble with the shotgunners, and then just hold down either outside or the capture point.
So you post a lot of YouTube videos each week about your tips for the map. And what goes into your process when you're actually sort of discovering the map and feeling it out? Like, what are the first moves you make if it's, say, your first ticket for the weekend on Friday?
I kind of just go to the middle. When it's the first ever game, I'm just going to the middle to kind of see where teams go. Like, I'm not committing to going to the middle, but I'm just kind of seeing where they are on the radar. And I'm like, okay, a lot of people seem to be going this way, or a lot of people keep going this way. Which route can I take to kind of combat that or pick them off while they're on their way to their desired location? So it just comes to me just seeing where they're going and then trying to combat that either by flanking or just having a head-to-head and like trying to destroy them. Although sometimes that doesn't work out, like in Bannerfall when you would jump up top initially and it would be like a snipe fest. Patrick kept doing that and we were like, Patrick, stop it. Because you keep, it's like a 50-50. Who's going to win? Who's going to win the snipe? Nobody knows. So when it comes to me, I'm always trying to figure out a way to catch them off guard, flank them, or something like that. So usually head to the middle, see where they're going, and either flank or catch them while they're trying to get to whichever position they're going to.
That's a fantastic trials tip, just not committing, because you can always go to a place and then decide that this strategy is not going to work and not what you need to do at this moment. And I feel like a lot of people just sort of run to their spot, decide, well, here's where I'm fighting from for the rest of the round, and they're uncomfortable running all the way back around or just switching it up. But you don't have to commit super hard, and that's a big thing to learn.
Yeah, I see that with a lot of teams. They're just like, okay, we're in here, let's just do this thing. And it's like, no, in order to be really, really good at trials, I would say you just need to be able to adapt to what the other team's doing and change what you're doing. You never need to commit to any one strategy. If someone does something that's countering what you're doing, you can do something else. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
So let's say, you're playing with viewers and you've gone into a trials ticket with some people who are maybe newer to trials or newer to Destiny as a whole, and you want to make sure that you play well together as a team and that they have a good experience. What are some of the main things that you really focus on sort of helping newer players learn how to play trials as a team that's successful?
The first thing I say is focus on getting revives, because I know a lot of people get caught up in it. It's like, oh, I'm in a 1v1 and he's low, I can take him. It's like, no, just don't risk it. Especially if you're newer to Trials or Destiny, just don't risk it. Get your fast revive armor, or I'll put mine on, I don't mind. But just always focus on getting those revives first, because being a hero does feel awesome, but it can also feel terrible when you lose that 1v1 or the other team has all fast revives on and they end up all coming back and they're like, oh, hey, now you're in a 1v3. So definitely just prioritize revives, because one thing that I've noticed in this Trials in Year 2 is so many people are running fast revive, like way more than before.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so easy to get yourself into this situation of like, oh, we got a guy down, let's go in, guys. And then you're stuck in this terrible situation where they just get all their team members up and it all ends up going downhill. So stick together, but not too close together. Concentrate on revives is probably the biggest thing that I can give advice to people. And just always communicate what you're thinking, what you're doing. And if you see an enemy, say where they are. Just communicate always with your team.
I kind of expect the meta to shift a little bit in Trials with the release of some new exotic armors because, like you said, everyone is wearing fast res because I can't think of better exotics, at least for Titan. Like right off the bat,
Right.
I don't know what else I would wear for Trials besides Alpha Lupi. So I think maybe some more exotics will switch that up a bit, but you're definitely right. I mean, everyone seems to have fast res, even though, you only need 2 people to make that true for everyone. Pro tip from Crucible Radio.
That's very true.
It's how it works.
Everyone's running 3, just in case.
Just in case, yeah. In case it doesn't work one time.
So, we had Iron Banner return this week. They brought us a little bit of a change. This week it was Clash. You seem to be kind of very opinionated on the topic. I know Bones loves it. What do you got to say about Iron Banner Clash?
I just don't like Clash in general. I don't like team deathmatch. I don't like anything that's just my team versus your team because from my experience, it's who can outcamp the other person. Let's just sit in our spawn. And it creates some funny moments. Like I have a video clip on my channel where I went around to the side of them and there's just 3 people like hard scoping down the center. And I'm like, hi guys, I'm shooting them. And they don't even care. They're just still concentrated on hard scoping down the center. So I play very fast and very aggressive and I like things to be like constantly happening. So Control is definitely a much preferred mode for me because it just creates crazy moments when you're trying to capture something. And Clash just, in comparison to Control, just felt very, very, very slow. And so many of the maps, it was literally like, I'm going to sit here with my sniper, you sit here with your sniper, we're just going to snipe across the middle and see what happens. And then it's Clash of the Hammer Titans after that.
Oh, yeah. Halfway through, I begin to dread. I'm like, all right, well, if I have my super... 6 other people do, and it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be all Hammer Titans and Zippy Zaps. It's always Zippy Zaps.
That's a technical term, of course.
Of course.
Storm Zippy Zaps.
I think we need to, you get your squad, I'll get my squad, because you just described exactly how I play Iron Banner Clash, which is just relax and let everyone else run around, and I'll stay in one spot. And just let everything come to me, and we'll see if which strategy works. Because I think that's really interesting, and that there's 2 very different ways to approach Clash. Is it Clout that said warrior? Is that how he described it?
Warring.
He said, yeah, like you were just like, you know what, this map is mine, and I'm gonna cover all of it and take out everyone. And I'm just sort of like, I'm good right over here. I will just be over here. You guys have fun. You know what? If there's stuff happening, sounds great. I'll hang out. Maybe one person wants to come over and fight me, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel like this week I've spawned at every single possible location on all the maps.
Yeah.
In like the same
I spawned
2
into
games.
someone. Yeah.
There's a lot of spawning, isn't there?
I had
Lots of spawning.
a lot of the one where it's like finding spawn location. I'm like, well, that shouldn't happen.
I will say for Clash that, I mean, and this is definitely something that more sort of favors a static kind of setup, but I feel when you're playing Control, the control points put such a huge emphasis on certain parts of the map, and challenging those control points really kind of limits sort of where you're going to expect to have most of your encounters. And when you have Clash, you can kind of just say like, all right, well, I'm going to pretend like there's a control point here and I'm going to defend it, and my team is going to sort of draw our own kind of boundary around where this exists. I guess I think of maps like, I don't know, like Twilight Gap or something. There's parts of the map that you can play in Clash and completely defend and lock down that just aren't necessarily relevant in a Control kind of situation. So I guess I kind of like that aspect of it, not just, all right, it's my job to fight over B the entire time and make sure no one gets and, takes our spawn. But when you get that just sort of continual rotating loop through the spawns as everyone just pivots around the map, that's certainly interesting, full of surprises.
Full of surprises.
Miss Watts, how do you break up those kind of setups? If there is a team with 3 guys hard scoping a hallway or feeling like they just need to hang out in their spawns, what do you do as someone who likes map control and aggressiveness to kind of, throw them off balance and break up their setup?
Well, for a pure fun factor, I was like, I'm going to put on my Blade Dancer, I'm going to blink in there, I'm going to see how many I can kill. And sometimes it'll be 3, sometimes I'll die straight away, especially if I'm in Arc Blade, I would definitely die straight away. But yeah, I kind of I try to get besides them as much as I can. And if I go there, usually if there's 3 people hard scoping, maybe one will notice that I'm there and the others will kind of be like, oh, what's going on? I'm not really sure. So if I can take out that one guy, then I can kind of push in there and try to at least just flip the spawns or like scatter them somewhere so it's not an entire team just sitting in their spawn. So for me, definitely just flanking. I know it's hard with the radar always being on, but for the most part, if you find a team that is literally just, you see they're using snipers and they're just hard scoping, they most likely will not notice that you're there. Or if all else fails, just run invisibility and then go besides them and kill them all. That always works.
That works too.
Right, this was way back in the day. It was right when I was starting to kind of take Destiny seriously. It was before Crucible Playbook, before any of that. I remember I saw a video of yours that was all about, it was a whole build. It was a Sunsinger build that was just designed around burn. So you have Fire Bolts and Touch of Flame and the Flame Touch and Thorn. And I remember watching it and go like, that makes it okay. One, that looks like a lot of fun, super annoying to play against, but it all kind of makes sense. It all sort of fits together. And obviously, you make a lot of videos. Do you think there's any sort of emerging strategies or sort of smaller ideas like that within the bigger subclasses that you think might have a shot in year 2 that people don't really know about yet?
That's a good question. I kind of feel like there's only one solid choice for a lot of the new subclasses when it comes to PvP. Like, I know some people run Hammer Titans with like a burn spot build, and I'm like, I don't really know what that's supposed to do. I mean, maybe you can just stand there in your little burn spots and like throw hammers, maybe. But I think there's usually one clear choice with the new subclasses. And that choice seems to be fusion grenades or sticky grenades. Everyone's just running sticky grenades, and it drives me insane. Incendiary grenades are better.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, I love incendiaries. But
they're great.
We actually, like me and Bones, I think we both tried out the Sunspot build this weekend, and I found it useful once, and the other times I was like, wait, where'd my super go? Like I was running around, and I'm like, oh wait, it's gone. Ah, crap.
It requires a patience with Sunbreaker, which is not a word that get used.
They don't go together.
Yeah, those aren't common words together.
Yeah, I can't really see many builds actually that would work with the other subclasses. I mean, for Night Stalker, I guess is like, do you want to be an invisible guy or do you want to be like an Envenom guy? There's one build that people haven't tried that much, and that is being a trapper with the Night Stalker, and that's actually something I want to try in trials this weekend. Because you have all those perks on Night Stalker where you can actually put your smoke bomb down and it will stay there until someone walks past it. I really want to try that because I feel like it could be really interesting to play that different play style of, instead of seeing a guy running at you and throwing a smoke bomb, you actually set up areas of the map where people like to frequent, and you kind of set your little traps and you just wait for them. It could work. Who knows? Maybe in certain game types it could have potential. But I think for the most part, what people are using right now is probably the strongest thing for the moment.
What game types do you think it would be effective in?
Definitely control, because, control points. Salvage would probably work as well, because you could just be like, okay, I'm going to put this down here, and I'm going to go stand really far away from the salvage point so they can't see me. And then everyone will get hit with Keen Scout, and I'll know exactly where they are, and I can go in there and destroy everything. So I think any mode where you have to really control something, for trials it will definitely be a little bit harder because you kind of have to predict where they're going to walk through.
Right.
But I think it would be really interesting to try it and see if it can work. Because I don't know if it's like this for me, because I know a lot of people kind of said that it was like it for them and not for them. But the sealed Ahamkara grasps, they have a bug, with me anyway, that when I directly throw it at a person with the Envenom, it takes away my second melee charge.
What?
Yeah, it just disappears. I'm like, oh, great.
That doesn't seem fair.
Crucible Radio exclusive.
I made like a clip and like sent it to Bungie so they could look at it. But it's definitely a thing, and I hate it because I was so excited for them to have double Envenom smoke bomb. But I tried them with the Trapper build, and it was really fun because you could kind of set multiple traps everywhere. So that's what I use my Ahamkara Grasp for now, is setting traps.
Nice.
Well, we've got a few weeks till the December update, so they've got a few weeks to get it right, Bungie.
Fix it.
Fix that.
Bungo.
While we're talking about Night Stalker, I want to ask specifically about Shade Step. You know, it's one of those things like Blink that if I'm playing a class with Blink all the time, I just start using it second nature for all sorts of things aside from just jumping. And I feel like Shade Step is one of those things as well. And if I get away from it a little bit, I just forget to use it when I switch back to the class. So tell me a little bit sort of what role Shade Step plays as a Night Stalker, sort of how it fits in your playstyle and situations you'd use it and situations you might avoid.
For me, the Night Stalker, like you said, I definitely forget to use it when I stop playing Night Stalker. So I try and make a habit of just playing my Night Stalker a lot and just shade stepping all the time. Because otherwise I'm like, oh, I have a shade step. Oh, great. But yeah, for me, with sniping, it's kind of really good to check places. You can kind of shade step in and shade step out, and they can't really hit you unless they're a god or something. But usually most people won't be able to hit you, so you can check corners, or you can like go into an area without fully committing to it because you can shade step right back out. With a shotgun, I find that it's actually kind of cool if you shoot someone with a shotgun and then you shade step away. So you can kind of get into places very easily and get out. So that's why I always tell my team in trials, like, don't follow me when I'm on my Night Stalker, because I can get in and out very, very easily. And that's what I use the Night Stalker to be. I use it to be a creepy, like, stalker running around the map, sliding in there and then sliding out again. So I just use it to be sneaky, pretty much. Just going into an area without actually fully committing to it.
I like that. I mean, there's... You know, if you know you've got to run through a sniper lane, you really don't have a lot of options. You could walk, you can run, you could jump, you could slide, you could find another way, but just to have one more thing that people might not be expecting. Yeah, that's I just gotta keep telling myself, just remember to use it, or I'll switch over to Gunslinger, and then all of a sudden I don't have it anymore. It's like, no, I didn't mean to teabag.
And you kill yourself.
I've done that so many times. I'm just like, why aren't I rolling?
So many times. Another thing that I found with Shade Step as well is that you can juke people out and just make them have a very sad day. I was playing on stream earlier today, and there was a Hammer Titan, and I smoked him so I could see where he was on my radar with Keen Scout, and I was just shade stepping out of all of his hammers that he was throwing at me, because I kind of knew based on his movement on the radar when he was going to be throwing them, and I was like, this is just great. I just love this.
Yeah, that hammer juke is definitely an art form. I mean, if you're smart with your jumping and you're playing against someone who isn't the best Hammer Titan out there, you know, they usually get me with like the 5th or 6th hammer, but if I can just like dodge those first 4, it's like, oh, all right, those could have killed my teammates. And also, I know he feels really bad about that super now, and you just had to jump at the right time. It's not that tough.
It's true. You gotta just know what your enemy's doing. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so Noosk just drops the balance notes on us coming up in this December patch, and you know, as of the time of this recording, they've been out for mere hours, and I probably need to read them twice because I just got really excited and stopped paying attention at one point.
Blacked out.
I did. I passed out a
Woke
little
up
bit
and you were on a podcast.
I kept reading them and I was like, yes, and I passed out again, and then I was here. All right, give us like 5 initial impressions, things that you're excited for that just stuck out to you right away as things that you are looking forward to in the balance patch.
I'm looking forward to auto rifles. They got kind of a big buff, it seems like 9% and 8% in some cases, or maybe that's the pulse rifle decreases. I don't know, so many numbers, it's confusing. But they're definitely giving auto rifles a pretty decent buff, and they said that they're supposed to be able to compete with pulse rifles. So I'm excited to see with those tuning of the pulse rifles and auto rifles if they can go head to head, and maybe it's literally just, do you prefer using an auto rifle or a pulse rifle? It's not so much which one is better, it's more of a personal preference as to which one you use. I'm excited about the shotgun changes, because now they're like melee range.
It's amazing.
Which is kind of what they should be. I mean, there's shotgun, it's supposed to be super close combat. So I'm interested to see with that if people are going to go to sidearms or fusion rifles, because they're sort of buffing fusion rifles. I'm excited to switch things up. After having the Thorn Blink shotgun period for like 2 years,
sure.
I'm just happy that they're switching things up frequently so we don't have to go through that again.
I like how they're sort of carving down the ranges a little bit. Like it felt with with shotguns and with auto rifles, you felt like, well, when am I ever actually going to use an auto rifle? Because for this to really work, I'm going to be in shotgun ranges, and the shotgun's just going to wreck me every time. It's not like they're going to run out of ammo with it. So to sort of see them getting even finer ground to say like, okay, shotgun is like as far as you can reach your arm out, or like a little bit farther if you had magical blink strike powers, and then autos are somewhere between there. It's nice to see that sort of getting more and more detailed the more this game develops.
Yeah, for sure. They're kind of refining each weapon's role a lot more. And I like that, because before it was kind of like, do you like hand cannons? Then you can use them. Do you like pulse rifles? Well, that's great. This one is clearly better than that one. And you just don't want to, you just only go to that one weapon archetype if you want to be competitive. So I like that they're having a very refined role, and it's just, which role do you personally prefer? Which role fits your playstyle more? Are you more aggressive? Then maybe you should use an auto rifle. Are you more standoffish? You should use a scout rifle. So I'm just excited for them to really get that down and nail that eventually, to where people are picking weapons based on the map and their playstyle, not just this weapon's the greatest, so I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect, because I mean, yeah, like you just said, that you've got that style of aggressiveness and warrioring, and that will actually have a different look now. You know, it's not going to be two players using the same tools but doing it differently. It will be two players playing differently with entirely different gear, possibly. I mean, that's kind of a utopian idea of the Crucible and roles, but I mean, we're a little closer, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's actually really exciting. I could run around with Monte Carlo and like get perma smoke bombs.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good build. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm most excited for Fabian's strategy. It's like, oh, nerf the shotguns. Give me my awesome Titan auto rifle.
That's true.
I saw you using that a little bit on stream today, and I never really got to see the first person angle because I haven't leveled up the gunsmith. And then I realized after this balance notes, I'm like, it's time to do some test weapons, because I want to get my hands on that as well.
So they're not getting a huge change, but honestly, we really haven't talked about him much on the show. How do you feel about sidearms?
Sidearms confuse me. I'm just like, when am I supposed to use this thing? I have to be so close, and then shotguns can just kill me. And I'm like pew-pewing everybody, and then by the time I'm like done pew-pewing, he just comes and shoots me in the face with the shotgun. So it's kind of like, I just never really feel like I know when to use them. And I'm hoping with the nerfing of shotguns that will kind of make their role a lot more obvious. Because right now, I just don't know. I don't know when to use them, except if I'm trying to have fun and just run around with sidearm. But in terms of actual practicality, I just don't know when to use them, because it feels like as soon as you get out of that range, it's a very specific range that they're good in. As soon as you're out of it, you literally don't even hit the person. And then when you're kind of in it, it's like, well, how close can I get before I get shotgunned? They confuse me.
Yeah.
I had this weird experience. I was playing Black Shield, and I was, inside, sort of on the platform in the main room in Black Shield, and there was a guy on the A side doors, and he was like on the other side of the doors, a good distance away, and he killed me with a Havoc Pigeon, and he was doing it like he was having success with it, and it was like, where did you get that sidearm? That seems a little too far away to work as well as it does against me and my pulse rifle, but I feel like there's maybe something I'm not quite getting about him. Yeah.
I feel like that too, yeah.
Well, there's this guy that messaged me before a trials match, and it's like, as we're dropping into Firebase, and I get this message, I open it up, and it says Havoc Pigeon FTW, and I'm like, what? Who is this from? And I see it's the guy we're playing, and we start out, we play a round or something like that, and then the second round, he just like smokes me with Havoc Pigeon. I'm like, okay, this is not all right. I am not going to let you beat me with this gun that I don't understand. But I realized, like, I just, like, didn't know what to do. And I'm like, wait, like, how, where, okay. And we ended up winning when I messaged him, and I was just like, not bad. Like, that was actually effective. It was pretty funny. It was really funny.
Yeah, no, it sounds super funny, Bones. It's a really good story there. Jeez.
That was meant to be off air, but now I know you're going to keep it in.
It is tempting. It is tempting.
So we like to look at the community side of our show, and just as like Destiny and the Crucible as well. What's it like being a streamer? Like essentially doing it full time and providing a voice for the people?
It's sort of annoying when you get teabagged every like 2 seconds and you're like, oh my god, you killed me in a like 1v4 and you didn't even kill me, it was the other guy. Why are you so happy? But
Hey, I know you. I hate you.
Let me teabag
it's
you.
like, yeah, they're like, oh, I'm just saying hi. You have a wave emote for that. You don't need to teabag me. But I mean, that's just one of the negatives. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it feels really good to be able to have an opinion on something like these patch notes. And I read them out on stream, and for us to be able to go back and forth and be like, what do you think about it? What do you think about it? What's your favorite thing? It feels really good to be able to see something happen with a game that you love and be able to talk about that with a bunch of other people who love the same game as you, and you all just have a big discussion about it. And it also really helps me make better content too, because before I make a video on something that I find very serious, like maybe the state of blade dancers, which I'm gonna make, but I like to reach out to people and ask their opinion on it to get a more well-rounded opinion on it, because like you said, you are kind of a voice, and it's weird to think of yourself like that, but when people kind of look to you for like Crucible stuff or your opinion on certain weapons in the Crucible, you want to be able to give a well-rounded opinion. So it's really good to be able to feed that back to the community and them kind of help round your opinion a little bit better. And then it's also really great to be able to put out something and be like, look guys, this is what the community thinks of this weapon or this subclass. This is the real situation. This is not just me making it up. This is what's really going on. And it's nice to be able to put that to Bungie too. So it's not just my opinion, it's a group of the community and like the most, I don't know, well-known PvPers in the Crucible, and we're kind of like, yeah, we all think this is an issue, and kind of take it to Bungie. So it's a really crazy position to be in. It feels like you have a lot more power than the average person. So I don't take that for granted at all. Like I use it very, very carefully.
Oh boy. If I had a nickel for every time I got asked, is this a good roll on my Hawksaw?
Oh yeah, I had that question today actually. Is this a good pulse rifle? Can you inspect me and tell me if this is a good pulse rifle? And I'm like, oh no, it's a pulse rifle. They're all good.
Can't go wrong.
Well, so there's sort of this weird blend. I mean, you stream and all these people flock to your stream. They like to watch you because they like your personality. They like what you bring to it. But then you also are kind of a representative for them, and the things that you talk about and the things that happen on stream are really sort of larger than all that. So for people who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about your stream, sort of what your community is like and what they should expect if they want to come hang out.
I think my community is probably one of the better ones on Twitch, and that has nothing to do with me. It's all to do with the people that somehow stumbled upon my stream and then ended up being mods, and they're just so positive. Like, I've started feeling so really, really good about Twitch, and I'm like, YouTube, oh man, they're so negative and so mean to me, but Twitch is like YouTube. Such a happy place. Twitch is...
YouTube.
You know. My community on Twitch are just, they're so friendly and they're so inviting. People will come in and be like, this is my first time here. And a bunch of people will say hi to them and try and get them involved in stuff. So my Twitch channel is all about positivity because we are competitive without having to be the typical like douchebag, trash talking everybody. I want it to be like an environment where we can enjoy the Crucible and enjoy being competitive, but be nice to each other and have an environment where maybe you had a bad day. You can come and hang out and not be surrounded by negativity. Just enjoy being positive, having a happy time, kicking some ass in the Crucible.
Hell yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the kind of stream that we like to see. So if they are looking for you and they want to watch your stream or follow you on YouTube, where can they find you?
On YouTube and on Twitch, it's just Miss 5000 Watts. If you type that in, you'll find me somehow, some way. Same on Twitter as well.
Well, let's. I kind of want to ask this question. I know we used to ask this question every interview, and it's kind of a dumb question. It never works out. But I want to know what your answer.
Cheez-Its.
What is your favorite flavor of Cheez-Its? No, that's not the question. That's a stupid question.
But really,
There's
what's your favorite
clearly
flavor
only
of
one
Cheez-Its?
right answer. Well, it's classic. You don't even need to answer. It's clearly
white
classic.
cheddar.
It's superior. No, you don't.
Hot and spicy. Come on.
Shut up, Swain.
What's your favorite map and what's your favorite game mode? If you could just pick the dream situation, let's just say for right now, what would you want to be playing and where would you want to play it?
I think my favorite map is still Rusted Lands, and I
Yes!
don't know if that's because I'm like so nostalgic from the alpha and stuff, but ever since I played that map, like I just love it. I just love everything about it. It feels like home. It just feels good. I think my favorite mode would actually be Zone Control. And I never thought that it would, because it's basically domination in Call of Duty, and that can sometimes be very difficult to kind of carry by yourself. But in Destiny, I actually feel like that is the one game mode, the one team game mode that I can carry by myself. Because my teammates can die, that's fine, it's cool. You guys can keep on dying, don't worry about it, it's all good. I would just run around capping stuff and killing people, and I can actually end up carrying those modes. So I wasn't sure I was gonna like it, but I actually really, really, really like Zone Control.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait for the next time it comes around. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you for having
coming
me.
on.
Like, this is kind of like the perfect podcast.
Aw,
I was very
thank
happy
you.
to be invited.
You'll have to come back.
I would love to.
I'm not that way. I'm not that way. I'm not that way.
So straight up, we were trying to figure out a bit to do the outro with. We were thinking like we could play up like we're pretending to play the game or something. But then Bones did a voice, and this is just what the outro is going to be. Bones, take it away.
Hey everyone, this is Kermit the Frog. I'm playing Destiny for the first time.
Wow.
Turns out that
Hi, Kermit.
pulse rifles are pretty strong. I don't know if you guys at Crucible Radio need to know or maybe tell anyone. I've got a cool shader, but it's not easy being green. So now I'm silver for the first time. Anyways, yeah, so I'm pretty happy with shotguns, but I heard they're getting nerfed, so I think I'm gonna switch to sniper. Is short gaze any good?
Sure thing.
good.
Sure
Kermit.
thing, Kermit.
Okay.
Anything you want, Kermit.
Yeah, I guess my last words are, get wrecked, noobs.
My childhood.
Find us on the space internet, Crucible Radio on Twitter, all the other places, Crucible Radio. Follow me and Bones on Twitch, DryBones81, and I am Swainstash. Catch you later, guys. Take us
Later.
out, Kermit.
Remember Thorn from year one? I don't. I'm a Christmas noob. Call me a kindergarten.
I love you, Kermit.
Don't make it weird.
Sorry. I'll be cool.